I go through a roller coaster of emotions, from angry to helpless, sad, wondering, what's happening to her. We've posted hundreds and hundreds of posters, driven around town, keeping my eyes open wherever I go, leaving the porch light on at night.
That was the mother of missing teenager Selena Cawley talking about the emotional roller coaster that she's been on since her daughter disappeared in August. Last year was a crazy year on so many fronts, but imagine having to deal with this, a missing loved one on top of all that. It's time to turn on the searchlight for Selena Cawley. Welcome to another episode of Searchlight. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And this is one where you hear about a teenager disappearing. There's a lot of assumptions we can make based off that. Oh, well, someone's taking care of her. And that could be a scary proposition in itself. I mean, who's willing to help a teenage get away from their home life and then effectively pay for everything for them, keep them fed, keep them clothed, keep them housed? And is there anything that they're expecting in return for that? There's a lot of tough considerations on this. But in those considerations, the first is, did she disappear of her own accord? Did something else happen here? And for that, we find an article with a very interesting title, 15-year-old Mooresville girl found safe after search. Now, this is for a different instance. This is for in April of 2020, April 30th. A 15-year-old girl reported missing from Mooresville Thursday night has been found. Mooresville Police Department and Mooresville Fire Rescue used drones to search for 15-year-old Selena. Around 8 a.m. on Friday, Mooresville Police said Selena was found safe. It sounds to me, and I've seen some social media comments on this as well, I don't know if she went missing in the middle of the night, but from what I understand, she was missing for a pretty short period of time, a matter of hours in this particular case. In the case that we're talking about now, her disappearance from August, we're looking at several months. So huge cause to be concerned, but I'm wondering if April is showing a precedent that maybe we can hold on to some hope that maybe this isn't the worst outcome that can happen in a case like this, because we've seen her leave before. Thankfully, she was found in that instance. Can we repeat that at this point for this family? She's got parents and siblings that are worried about her. So let's get to the NamUs profile. She went missing at the age of 15. She is now 16 years old. Selena Cawley stands at 5'3" tall, weighs around 110 pounds. She is a white Caucasian. Date of last contact, August 12th, 2020. For the circumstances, they're saying the subject left her home without taking any possessions with her. Her location is not known at this time. Some of the other information I'm seeing is saying that she actually went to walk the family's dogs with a sister of hers, I believe a younger sister of hers, and the sister came back. I think the dogs came back. Selena wasn't with them. Selena has black hair, brown eyes, no distinctive physical features that are noted here, and they don't have a clothing and accessories section filled out here. We're going to find some information on that as we get into the news stories. For images and documents, we've only got the one photo that they're using for her face. For the contact information, I've included it in the description box below. They did have the case number, so I've got that down there as well. Where's this going on? Mooresville, North Carolina. Mooresville is a large town located in southwestern section of Iredell County, North Carolina. In 2019, the population increased to 39,000 people. It's located approximately 25 miles north of Charlotte. Mooresville is best known as the home of many NASCAR racing teams as well as racing technology suppliers, which has earned the town the nickname Race City, USA. Continuing at Patch.com, Selena Cawley was last seen August 12th in the backyard of her home in the Morrison Plantation subdivision in Mooresville. According to MPD, Selena Cawley was last seen around 4 p.m. It is believed Selena left on foot in an unknown direction, MPD said. She was last seen wearing an off-white short-sleeve shirt, cut-off blue jean shorts, and purple and black Birkenstock-like sandals, police said. Interesting here, we're not getting any note about a bag that was taken. I mean, if she was planning on running away, she didn't take any personal possessions at all. And the clothing description is going to become pretty interesting when we bump into some other information here. And that's also got me wondering about, are we sure? Are we sure she didn't have a backpack, something that might include additional clothing for her? Let's continue with more details over at fox46.com. A Mooresville teenager who went missing back in mid-August could be in the Charlotte area, according to police. Mooresville police said Cawley had visited or has been frequenting the Charlotte area, and CMPD has been made aware by Mooresville Police Department. CMPD is Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, as we can see here. So obviously they've got reason to think she could be in Charlotte. We know Charlotte's about 25 miles away, probably too long for her. I mean, if she had several days, yes, theoretically she could walk that, but it really seems like she's being driven around, or someone's giving her a ride, or she's finding transport of some kind. They are also noting, though, it is possible that she still has been in the Mooresville area as well. I mean, we're talking about a matter of 25 miles. And if there is someone that she's staying with, it could be that, they're bouncing her back and forth, possibly. Now, despite the fact that we did have her disappear earlier in the year and then she was quickly found, seems to me the family is really concerned about what's going on here. They issue a reward themselves, looks like within about a week of her disappearance. Family of missing Mooresville teen offering $5,000 reward. The family of a Mooresville teen missing for more than a week is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to her safe return, police said Thursday. The reward offered by Selena's family is not associated with Mooresville Police Department or Crime Stoppers. So this is the family doing it completely on their own. And it's pretty unusual for me to see a reward be offered so quickly on this. It leads me to believe that there might be more information the family has, maybe about people she was talking to online or something like that, that they're concerned for her safety very, very quickly to step up in that way. Now, there is an additional sighting that happens of her on the day that she disappears, and that is where she shows up at a Circle K, and they've got footage of her walking in the front door. Her hair has been braided, which was different than earlier that day. And if you remember the description on the clothing, completely different. The shoes are different. The pants are not cut off shorts. She's got, it looks like a dark sweater that's on here. Considerably different clothing. And I do believe that this is a confirmed sighting of her. So that immediately raises the question, what's going on? Was this planned in some way? Was she keeping clothing somewhere else? Did someone come and pick her up and they took her shopping? They're like, hey, we got to get you out of those clothes because they're going to be looking for you in those clothes. There's resources of some kind that are being used here. And the thing that's concerning about that is her family's fairly clear. She didn't take any money with her. She didn't take any personal items with her. So we've got something else at play here for sure. Continuing at MooresvilleTribune.com, I want to give a quick shout out to an author, Taylor Jejedrick. I've seen a few different articles. Taylor is staying pretty up to date on this case, doing some really good writing on this case and sharing important details. My hat's off to Taylor for their hard work. 40 days may not seem like a lot, but when you put yourself in the heart-wrenching shoes of a mother and father searching for their missing daughter, the full weight of 40 days begins to sink in. The Cawley family has been searching for 15-year-old Selena. I find every day hard just to get through, said her mother, Ann Cawley. From the questions from the public to questions from her sister. Aside from a grainy screenshot from a security camera at the Circle K on North Main Street in Mooresville, there have been no sightings of her and very few means of tracking her down. Let's just do a real quick look at the locations so you guys get an idea of what we're looking at here. The Morrison Plantation area is over here, and this is just the HOA office that's been tagged. I'm not sure where in the neighborhood they live. But we can see we've got businesses in this area, homes, fairly populated area that we're looking at here. So I think we've got a lot of opportunities for someone to have information, and we just need that person to call that information in. About 6 miles away is the Circle K. So she disappears at 4. She winds up out here at 11. Theoretically, to go that distance, if she was walking, would take about 2 hours. But I don't think she's walking. Really seems like she's got access to some resources. Don't know who's providing that. Don't know what that's about. But what is interesting is her showing up at this Circle K out here. Is that some type of indicator about where she's staying? Is she staying somewhere close to this, or is this person with the resources live somewhere around this? Just kind of odd to me that all of a sudden we get this hit on her being 6 miles away in this direction. I don't know, fairly strange. And then of course we have law enforcement's information that they're curious about Charlotte as well. And you can see Charlotte is almost just directly south. Approximately 25 miles. The Cawley family is made up of 6 children, including Selena. One of them, a 6-year-old girl, was the last person in the family to see Selena before she disappeared. Selena was interacting with her sisters, helping with chores around the house that day while I was working, said her father, Brian. She and her youngest sister went out into the backyard with the dogs for a quick walk, and about 5 minutes later, her sister came back in, but Selena didn't. She happened to be grounded from her phone that day and did not have it with her when she went out into the backyard. I know, look, this is such a hard aspect of this, because if she had the phone with her, that would be a great tool for trying to track down where she is. Unfortunately, she doesn't. And knowing that she was being disciplined, of course, you're going to consider taking your phone away from your child. But this is one of those cases where it's just, I hope her family isn't beating themselves up too much and saying we shouldn't have taken her phone, because if she would have taken her phone, she would have had it with her. You've got to be parents, and you can't think that, hey, just because I'm going to take my child's phone, all of a sudden they're going to just disappear and we're not going to have any way to find them ever again. It's just a very unfortunate occurrence that it was this particular day. And it does make you wonder, is there something about, obviously there was some tough things going on between her and her family at this time. Is that motivating her in terms of her leaving in some way? Now, this article also states both her mother and her father indicate there were no events on either that day or the preceding ones that would have led them to believe that she would run away. But they also grounded her from using the phone. And we'll get a little bit of an explanation why here. She frequented Snapchat and Instagram and didn't pick the best people to talk to on there. I think, in terms of people to reach out to and speak to, they know exactly who they should start with. I would imagine at this point, law enforcement has probably run through everyone that's part of those circles. So I don't know that they're actually one of them, which is why she was grounded from her phone, the father added. According to the Cawleys, she also left the house with no money. Even if someone is harboring her in some way, shape, or form, I question the judgment of a person who would keep a 15-year-old runaway in their home for 5 weeks, Brian said. Probably not an outstanding person we're talking about. Yeah, and we've seen other cases where this has happened, and those people can be charged. Delinquency of a minor. And I think there's other charges additionally. So yeah, probably not an outstanding person. I think I would agree with Brian. Her parents also don't believe that Selena had a boyfriend at the time of her disappearance. I know there's a lot of you out there right now thinking, well, do the parents really know everyone that's that close to her? Maybe not. I think that's certainly a possibility. And if there was someone she was close to and she used her phone primarily for communicating with them, you've now just taken that away from her, maybe not even really knowing it. So once again, I'm just wondering, is that something that's motivating her in leaving? Selena's mental health is also a big concern for her parents. She has been without her prescribed medication, Anne said. She also noted that right around the time the pandemic hit, her mental health went very haywire. So thinking back to that first article we were looking at from April, seems like maybe there's a possibility that's related to what her mother Anne is speaking about here as well. She stopped caring about school. She stopped caring about friends, became very withdrawn, and started acting out on social media. There's aspects of this case that are really, they have me concerned that this is potentially a grooming situation. Maybe there's someone that she was talking to on social media, particularly when you have a teenager that's going through being misunderstood in this kind of way. That's a really easy in for someone from the outside to say, oh, no one gets you. I totally understand what you're talking about, and kind of foster a relationship. And who knows where that goes from there. The most recent news that the Cawleys have received from MPD is that her Snapchat was logged into. That was 2 weeks ago from when this article was written, which was, 40 days into the disappearance. So obviously pretty close to her disappearance. And unfortunately, it was just that one login and there was no further activity. I found it a little concerning that the reward has been out there and it has not sparked one bit of interest, said her mother, Anne, and her father added, not even a false lead. That is pretty concerning. There are so many of these cases that I hear about that as soon as money's offered, then all of a sudden the hoaxers and the scam artists and everyone starts reaching out. Hey, if you want to know where your daughter is, you better give me that money. They're not even getting that. So that is pretty concerning, and I would say actually pretty unique for a situation like this. Now, keep in mind, this article is only 40 days in. We're now several months past that. It could be that stuff has changed. I hope that they're not having to deal with that on top of this, but there's a very good chance that they are. It makes me wonder, her mother continued, who's she with? If $5,000 isn't a lot of money to them, it's obviously not enough to return her or even tell us where she is. That has me concerned on a few fronts as well. What I'm really concerned of is with the amount of time that has passed now, because it's one thing to think, okay, she runs off. She's got some secret boyfriend we didn't know about. He's very likely older, has access to his own place, maybe his own money, his own vehicle. But now we're several months out on that and still no sign of her, no message coming in from her, just a little, hey, don't worry. And it's one thing if she's got tough feelings between her and her parents for some reason. She's also got a bunch of siblings. And really, she's not communicating with any of them as well. And then I've got this tickle in my brain about that shot from the Circle K. Within hours of her leaving, she's wearing completely different clothes from head to toe. It seems like there was a little bit of planning around this, and someone is definitely funding it in one way or another. Her mother both her parents want to get out a very strong message, though, for her. Anything that she's going through right now, we can fix it, her mother said. We just want her safe and at home. And I do think that's a really important message to get out there for not just Selena, but for any kids that might run away from home for an extended period of time. If they do get the sense of, hey, you know what, this situation that I'm in now isn't really what I thought it would be. I really want to come home, but I can't because of what I did. That's really not how it works. Your parents, your family, they're there for you. That's what family is. It's not always pretty. It's not always happy, but it's always there. And I just really appreciate that her mom was sure to get that message out in this particular piece as well. Continuing at WCNC.com, search for Mooresville teen becomes more urgent after missing for 3 months. This is from November 24th, 2020. She turned 16 years old at the end of October. Her mother, Anne Cawley, says this is the first of many annual traditions that her daughter may miss this year while she is away from home. Now that we're approaching Thanksgiving and Christmas and she still isn't here, it's left a big hole in our family and our hearts, she said. Also, some good news in a way. The FBI has stepped in to help with the investigation. Together, the agencies are using cyber technology to try to track down any social media activity from Selena. So far, they have no new leads. I believe even if they had leads on that front, they're probably not going to publicize that type of stuff too openly. Since her disappearance, a Facebook group called Praying for Selena Cawley has gathered more than 1,000 members. It warms my heart whenever social media swings to the help of families like this. And of course, that's why we're here doing this today too. I want to get several thousand of you to know about Selena's story. Maybe go follow this Facebook group if you live in the area. I don't know if they're really conducting search efforts, because it's one of those cases where we don't know where in particular to look, but supporting this family any way that we can, a very important component, and I'm thankful to those people that put the Facebook group together. Over at statesville.com, an article from December 26th, once again from Taylor. Selena is still missing. As of Christmas Day, Selena Cawley has been missing for 135 days, and worse yet, there's been little to no sign of her in months. Selena was the big Christmas decorator in the family, said her mother. One of our daughters told us that she couldn't do it this year because she couldn't do it without Selena. Eventually, they put up the decorations to try to maintain a small sense of normalcy. Christmas is supposed to be a happy time of year, her mother Anne said. I think if we ignored it, it would be stressful for them, the other kids in the family. The family went as far as hiring their own private investigator, but that got them no closer to finding Selena. I've spoken to agents directly in the local FBI office, her father said. They said because they have no proof it was an abduction or that she's been transported across state lines, they can only serve in a supporting role. So yes, we have the FBI's involvement, but it is in a limited capacity unless one of those things is proven, that there is an abduction. It's interesting to me because with her age, you would think, well, if someone is facilitating her staying away from her family, isn't that some form of an abduction? Apparently not. Apparently it has to be a bit more clear than that. And I think that's also part of the limiting factor. There was never an Amber Alert that was issued about this case. I think because of that similar component, they're essentially talking about a teenager that has left of her own accord, but she doesn't have the means to take care of herself. So someone is helping her, and in doing that, there might be criminal charges. So there might still be a criminal aspect that's going on here, but certainly not for the FBI's level of what they're looking for. I go between concerned and frustrated every day, her mother Anne said. I would never have guessed that after 4 months we would essentially be where we were in late August, her father added. Over the months, the community involvement in helping the Cawleys find Selena has waned. The Facebook page is not as active as it once was, but there are still those out there actively searching for her. And that's why I need your help. If you have friends that live in North Carolina, I know I do, and I'm going to shoot her a message also. We need to raise exposure to this case. We need to get eyes, ears, and hearts open and looking for Selena. And it might be tough because she might be in a situation she doesn't want to leave. We just need the information to be called in. And we've got all the contact details that you need in the description box below to do that. So if you are someone that has that information, please help this family out. Call it in. And maybe we can bring this family back together. Over at the Facebook page, they have a post that happened just today. They're saying this is from Selena's mom. It has been 5 long, tough months. We need answers. We're no closer than we were to finding these answers. Please keep praying and sharing. In the description box below, we will have the sources for everything we've covered today. We've also got over at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children information about her disappearance. There is a Web Sleuths thread about her disappearance as well, and a small Reddit post. I'll tell you guys, this is one of those cases where you look at it and it seems obvious in one way. I mean, we know that she left of her own accord. We know that we see her showing up at a Circle K. Doesn't look like anyone's with her, at least in the one glimpse of the video footage that we get. So if she needed help or something, that would have been an easy opportunity for her to ask for help from someone, and she's not. But the mystery in all this is who is taking care of her. Why is it going on for this period of time? Why is there no communication back with the family? The fear I have is what happens when this person is done with Selena? What happens if this isn't necessarily the love of my life type dream scenario that teenagers think that they're reaching for? That's where I get concerned, because where we have what looks like a simple runaway situation back in August, now looking at it in January, there's a lot of potential for other things to have occurred. And that's why we need to keep raising exposure. We need to keep people aware of this case, and we need to try to help this family. So I really appreciate your guys' help in doing that with me. Before I end today's video, I want to thank several new supporters that have signed up on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. YouTube has been really tough on advertising for the channel lately, but thanks to you, I don't have to stress about it too much. Thank you, new patron Annie. Thank you, new patron Tiffany. Thank you, new patron Robert Pullman, and thank you, new patron Nick. On top of that, I want to give a big thank you to Lisa Bell for increasing her pledge. If you'd like to sign up and help support the channel, please visit lordandarts.com, where you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, or buy merchandise. All of it helps keep us here, helping these families in these terrible situations, and I truly appreciate your support. Take care, everyone. I'll see you back here on Friday with a brand new episode of Brainscratch on the Lord and Arts channel.